Hi, it's Imogen Lamport from Inside Out Style, coming to answer your colour and style questions. First one in my lucky dip today comes from Beth Ann, who says, I want to learn how to express who I am without being obsessed with my appearance and not to be invisible unless I choose to be. As an older woman, it's easy to be overlooked, but I'm not interested in being dramatic as a means of countering that bias. I don't object to it in others, but my own style is more understated. I struggle most with hair and makeup, and I think this is many people's issue. Not everybody, the number of people who have a dramatic personality, who want to have very dramatic style, is actually quite small in my experience. In my industry, there's certainly lots of dramatic image consultants, but there's way less in the overall population of people who feel comfortable in that more dramatic style. And so this is where it is one way of being, it's one way of standing out and not being overlooked, but it's not the only way. And I think this is where we can think about, well, who am I and how do I want to be perceived? What is the inside of me? What's my identity? And what clothing is in alignment with that? And that's something I think that we all need to think about. And this is something that can change over time as well, because we're not static beings. We grow and we change through our lifetime. And so maybe this is a new season of your life where it's time to reassess who you are and how you want to be perceived, and therefore what clothes really work for you. Now, there's always body shape change and things. It's often the external things that make us reassess our wardrobes. And this is usually things like a different job or retiring or body shape changes so that your wardrobe that it exists doesn't, fit you anymore, those sorts of things. These very external things. When really actually we want to do, and we all need to do this, even if none of those things have changed, is to go inside and figure out who we are on the inside. And are we still expressing who we are through our clothes and our style, the person we are today, rather than the person we were maybe 5 years ago or 10 years ago? And many of us, particularly as we get older, we have things in our wardrobe that we bought 5 and 10 years ago. It's very easy. Time goes so fast. And it's very easy to have a wardrobe full of clothes. And wardrobes are built over time, and they're built in the past. Everything we're wearing was built on a decision made at a previous time. And so it's always good to re-look at this. So thinking about, well, how do you look expressing who you are. So this is where looking at my yin and yang table. So I've got a bunch of blog posts about yin and yang. This is a great place to start, to look at those yin and yang tables and to look at the elements of design and choose the ones that feel most congruent with you, that feel like they're a part of you, that they feel like they're an expression of you and you like them, because there's no point in putting something on that you don't feel really comfortable in, and that's not you. And of course, in my 7 Steps to Style program, the first step is all about personality and understanding your personality and how to express that as well. So if you want to dive deeper into that, that is the place to go. And I think too that being older, one of the things that can happen is, we can get overlooked, but this is often when we become a bit more invisible, when we just start dressing in the big and sloppy and baggy and the comfort clothes. It's almost like if you look like you've given up on yourself, so everybody else can read that. And I think this is the big difference. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to, say to the world, I have not given up on me. I am still an important, vibrant being. I am still an important person. I'm still amazing. I'm still beautiful. It's just in a new season of my life. And I think there's a very big difference between that look of I've given up, and then that's when you will be overlooked, versus not having given up. I think of, say, the character of Meryl Streep's character in The Devil Wears Prada, and she is a woman in her 50s. And yes, she has a more dramatic style, but there is nothing that says there she's given up. And she is certainly never going to be overlooked, and she's going to be taken more serious. But she's still fairly kind of elegant, chic in her dressing. She's not really dramatic in the way that, you could easily go down a dramatic route. And yes, there probably are more heels and things like that than you might want to wear on your daily basis. But you can take inspiration from these sorts of things. So maybe it's watch some TV shows with some older female characters and see if any of their style appeals to you, particularly if it's in that understated way, and start to think about how you want to express your style. Now, struggling with hair and makeup, this is also very normal, and especially because hair can change with age. It can get thinner, or it can get, when it goes grey, it can get more kind of coarse and wiry. So it really depends which way your hair goes. But this is where I would go to your hairdresser and talk to them about how you're struggling with your hair. What are some great hairstyles you can have that are going to be flattering on you, that will work with your hair as it is today? So your current hair texture. And looking at colors and things and this is one of the things that can happen, especially if hair thins and then you're dyeing your hair darker than it is as it grows out. It can make you look a bit like you're bald, because what we're seeing is the light roots make it look more scalp. So thinking about, are you still dyeing your hair? If you are, does that color still flutter you? Rather than holding on to something in the past, accepting who you are today. So talk to your hairdresser about hairstyles. Talk to them about how much time you're prepared to spend doing your hair. Super important. There is no point in getting a hairstyle that you aren't prepared to do, like you aren't prepared to spend the time and energy doing. But also be understanding too that wash and wear, if that's all you're prepared to do, is if you don't want to do any styling, then you're going to have a very limited number of hairstyles, and maybe they're not going to make you feel as good as you could if you spent, say, 3 minutes a day doing your hair. And I know, because I've got 3-minute hair. I'm prepared to spend 3 minutes a day, 1 minute some days, 3 minutes on a bad day. That's my kind of, 5 minutes really at an outstretch. But that's something I talk to my hairdresser about how much time I'm going to spend doing it. What will my hair naturally do? What directions does it grow in? How can you cut it so it naturally falls in a way that works for you and your features? And then makeup's really not so hard. So I think this is where you could go to a makeup artist and have a lesson in what works for you and your skin today. And also too, is one of the big things I do in my color analysis with people is we'll be going through like what makeup colors work for them, because half of makeup is getting the right colors. When you've got the right colors, the application is nowhere near as hard, but then it's also going, well, do I need a magnifying mirror so I can do makeup and I can see what I'm doing? And that's something like I now have a 5 times magnifying mirror that I do my makeup in, because otherwise I could be putting it anywhere. So it is that sort of thing that you still have to adapt and change, and your lips change, your eyes change, everything changes. Sometimes it's, I need to add more concealer. That's something I never used to add at all when I was younger. And it might be that I do less in the way of a dark lipstick. Maybe I go lighter in my lipsticks, but not too light, because otherwise it disappears as well. All sorts of things to think about. So that can be something that you could go and chat with a makeup artist about and get some tips and techniques for where you are today. But pick that person wisely. Pick a person. And there's so many great, go on YouTube, there's so many great, makeup artists who are talking about older faces and makeup, and do what is right for you. Because I think with all grooming is a really important part of style, but it has to be something that you feel comfortable doing, that it has to be who you are. So rather than trying to be like somebody else, you've got to do what is right for you.